Tonight we honor Terry Stewart, School of Engineering and School of Education class of 1969. Growing up in Alabama, Terry Stewart lived and loved music and movies.
I went to my first live show in 1949 with Eddie Arnold. It was my mother wasn't watching me. I walked down the aisle and started belting out the song, and he came down and sang with me. In the course of high school, I'd buy a record every week or so, and I'd go to all the rock and roll movies.
During his days at Rutgers, he balanced out his engineering studies by seeing lots of live shows in New York and Philadelphia, and produced concerts on Saturday nights for his fraternity. He went to Cornell for a JD and MBA and entered the world of mergers and acquisitions before ultimately being tapped to run Marvel Comics.
They were actually looking for somebody to run the business who had a transactional background in business and mergers, acquisitions, and read comic books. And the joke, as I say, there was me and a guy in Utah. We went public. We became one of the greatest successes, fastest growing public companies ever in the history of the New York Stock Exchange.
Terry's first love always remained music.
One of my fraternity brothers, he was reading the Wall Street Journal. He called me one day and said, "I just saw your next career."
When I was told that Terry Stewart was going to become the CEO, the general major archivist, the president of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland, Ohio, I realized that these people knew what they were doing. There's nobody, in my judgment, better qualified for that job than Terry Stewart. He's the best. It's
not up my alley, it's my power alley. It's my sweet spot, it's everything. Those other times when I was working 10 or 12 hours a day and then going home and doing 6 or 7, 8 hours on the stuff that I loved, now I'm just devoting all 20 hours a day to it and all weekend.
He gives so much humanity to the job and to the people that he works with. Terry goes 5 extra steps, and he'll make sure that each of those people who he's talking to feels important, and that is something that's unique.
Terry Stewart has really become Mr. Pop Culture. In the field of comics and in the field of rock and roll music, nobody knows more, nobody understands more, nobody ferrets out more of the cultural depth from those media than Terry does.
To me, when Terry took over the museum, it broadened its scope considerably. He's been very much behind the idea of a library, a repository of knowledge and a time capsule of the music so that it can be studied not only today or in 10 years, but a century or 2 centuries down the road.
Be the place that everybody comes to study the history. The history of music has changed the world. As I often say, it's the most impactful art form that's ever been created by mankind, whether you're talking about civil rights, women's rights, sustainability, and it deserves a place where you can understand the origin.